بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق.
The hadith that the Masjid Nabawi at the time of Rasulullah sallam was a very simple masjid, and this is hadith number 436. It was built of adobes. Its roof was of leaves of date palm, and its pillars of stems of date palm. Now Abu Bakr, when he became Khalifa, he did not alter it, and you know why? Because he had many other important issues to take care of, and his Khilafat lasted only for what? 2.5 years? In fact, 2 years and 3 months. He had to take care of so many different fronts that he had no time to spend in beautifying the masjid or rebuilding it. Now, when Umar became Khalifa, he expanded Masjid Nabawi, but he did not beautify it. You know, he did not make any changes in it. What he did was he just expanded it. Okay? When Usman became Khalifa, now he changed it by expanding it to a great extent and built it with walls with engraved stones in line, and made its pillars of engraved stone and its roof of teak wood. So it was Usman who really kind of,
beautified it.
Yeah, beautified it to some extent. Okay, not a lot. Now the first person who really completely changed the way masjid were built was the Umayyads Khalifa. What was his name? Abdul Malik ibn Marwan. What he did was he made masjid that had carvings of different kinds. You know, so the thing was that it happened during the last Sahaba, right? There were some Sahaba that were alive. They saw this, but they kept quiet because they thought that if we'll stop him from doing so, he was not a good person. You know, so he said that this will create more fitna. So they kind of kept quiet. But then some scholars said that it is fine if the purpose is to make the masjid look good. It's not that you are doing israf, you are not wasting money, right? Then it's fine to beautify the masjid. Some scholars said that look, if the location of the masjid is such that the neighborhood around that masjid, right, are based on houses that are very expensive, very beautiful, then the masjid in that locality should be really beautiful. Why? Because if the masjid is very simple, people will look down upon that masjid. But if it's a very expensive area, the houses, the $4-5 million houses, very expensive, and the masjid is very, very, very simple, people will do ihana, meaning they will disrespect the masjid. That's why, brother, we need our masjid to be expanded. Because we have some very expensive houses. Right across from a masjid, this new house is very beautiful. So we need, inshallah. And another thing is that if the masjid is beautified with the intention of ta'zeem for the masjid, that when we have expensive cars, when our lifestyle is such, then why the masjid should be in such a rundown condition. So if you will spend money on beautifying the masjid, making it look better than it was before, so this is fine. What is wrong is israf.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Just like in Abu Dhabi, that huge masjid, you know, that king ended up spending over $1 billion in one masjid.
Yeah.
Have you seen that masjid?
Yes.
Yeah. $1 billion, and the golden work, you know, this thing is of gold, that is israf. There is no need for that. Now that is completely israf. You know. Or when Mughals were ruling India, they wasted lots of money building huge masjids.
Taj Mahal.
Taj Mahal is not masjid. But by the way, when you talk about Taj Mahal, there is a masjid next to Taj Mahal.
There is a masjid?
A huge masjid. Yeah. So, no, this is a different issue what Mughals did in India, because they built Taj Mahal, they built mosque, but they did not make a single school.
No schools at all.
And Britishers ruled India for what? Let's say roughly 200 years.
They made for 2000.
But they, from Kerala to Calcutta, from Calcutta to Bombay, from Bombay to Agra, you see that they built churches and schools, hospitals, orphanages.
And change the language.
They changed the language. So Britishers had left India in 1947, but we are still in India, Pakistan, Bangladesh. We are still in Egypt. Wherever they went, you know, we are still following on their footsteps. So, but Mughals, they did not leave it. The only thing that they left is these big buildings, and we go and we look at those marvelous buildings and we say, wow, Mughals did this and that. But but in reality, they did not do anything that would help. So, for example, if you go to Delhi, the Jama Masjid that was built, right? It's so big, huge. There are so many steps that when we go, sometimes we pray in a small masjid, you know, because it takes you like several minutes to go. If the Salah of Maghrib had started, by the time you reach there, the Maghrib would be over. So, so this is israf, you know. But to beautify the masjid, that is fine if it is within the limits. So now the next hadith sharif is narrated, hadith number 437, is narrated by Abdullah ibn Umar. He said that in the lifetime of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the masjid was built of adobes and its roof was of leaves of date palms and its pillars of the stems of date palm. Abu Bakr did not alter. Umar expanded it to the same pattern as it was in the lifetime of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam by using adobes, leaves of date palms and changing the pillars into wooden ones. Now Osman changed it by expanding it to a great extent and building its wall with engraved stone and lime and made its pillar of engraved stone and its roof of teak wood. It's kind of the same thing. There's an addition. Now 438. Narrated by Ikramah. Brother, you know who Ikramah is? You know anybody? Ikramah? You know, this is very interesting. The Ikramah here is narrating this hadith, and he was the son of Abu Jahl. In fact, he gave some really tough time to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Very tough time. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him Iman, and you know, well, there are many stories about Ikramah which time will not permit. But read about Ikramah, very, very interesting. Anyhow, by the way, Ikramah would hate his dad, Abu Jahl. So, anyhow, so he said that Ibn Abbas said to me and his son. Now remember who was Ibn Abbas? Rasulullah's cousin. So he is from Ahlul Bayt. So remember that. So Ibn Abbas said to me and to his son Ali, go to Abu Sa'id and listen to him what he narrates. So we went and found him in a garden looking after it. He picked up his rida, wore it and sat down and started narrating till the topic of the construction of the mosque reached. He said, we were carrying one adobe at a time while Ammar was carrying two. Rasulullah saw him and started removing the dust from his body and said, may Allah be merciful to you, Ammar. He will be inviting them, that is his murderers to paradise, and they will invite him to hellfire. Ammar said, I seek refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from fitna, from affliction. So, okay, brother, there are a few lessons here. Okay. First, brother, is that Ibn Abbas was from Ahlul Bayt. Now, he stayed with Rasulullah sallallahu a lot. Okay. But in spite of all that, now Abu Sa'id Khudri, right? Abu Sa'id Khudri was not from Ahlul Bayt. Right? But look at the humbleness of Sahaba, that they went to Abu Sa'id Khudri to learn hadith from him. Okay? Now this tells a lot. Because if you are from Ahlul Bayt, right, you'll say, well, I belong to the family of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm the son of Abbas, Rasulullah's uncle. Why should I go to Abu Sa'id Khudri? But the Sahaba had no ego issues. You know, no ego issues. They said, Abu Sa'id. Now the reason why they went to Abu Sa'id Khudri, Abu Sa'id Khudri became Muslim before Abbas accepted Islam. Okay? Abbas accepted Islam before after Abu Sa'id Khudri. So Ibn Abbas was a very young child. So he said that, let's go. When Rasulullah arrived, Ibn Abbas was what? The maximum age that we could think of was 12 to 13. Ibn Abbas. Right? So he did not get enough time to spend with Rasulullah as an adult. Right? So, but Abu Sa'id Khudri did. So he said that no, go to Abu Sa'id and learn a hadith from him. So they have no ego problem. And this is what in Arabic there is a saying which means that in order to learn, you have to kill your ego. There should not be any ego issues when it comes to learning. Go and learn from anyone. This is why one of the great scholars were ghulam, were slaves, and they became imams of tafsir, hadith and fiqh, and they were slaves. So here they went, the Abbas sent Ikramah and his son Ali. Now, since Abu Sa'id Khudri had spent time with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so he knew many ahadith. And when they went, he was looking after the garden. Now this shows that Sahaba would not sit and do nothing. They were business people, they would jobs, they had jobs. Okay? And so they would be working all the time. And here he was working in his own garden. Anyhow, now the thing brother here to note is that when he was working, and this brother is from Kitab al-Adab, by the way, how to teach and learn hadith. It's a very important hadith. It tells us the etiquette of learning hadith and teaching hadith. Well, here you see that when he saw these two youngsters coming to learn, he picked up his rida, right? He wore it and sat down. That is to show respect to the narration of ahadith. And that brings us to that important example that was said by Imam Malik, rahimahullah, the big Imam of Medina. That when he will narrate hadith, he will take shower and every day put a new dress. Every day. So 365 days and he will have 365 new dresses. And after the dars of hadith would be over, by the evening time he will give it as sadaqah to a poor person in Medina. So somebody asked him that, Imam, why do you do this? He said, to show respect to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because I'm sitting in Masjid Nabawi saying Qala Qala Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I'm sitting next to his qabr. So I want to be in the best physical condition. So I take ghusl, I put on itr, I put on new clothes, and I do this every day. So here also Abu Sa'id Khudri, he was working, his hand must be untidy, so he washed his hand, he put on rida, sat down with the waqar and dignity, and then he narrated. Sahih Bukhari, most authentic book. You know, I think 2 years ago, or 2.5 years, when we started this dars, you know, I narrated to you the life of Imam Bukhari. You remember that? Huh? One of the things which I would like to remind you is that each time Imam Bukhari will write a hadith in Sahih Bukhari. Each time. And remember, there are how many? Yeah, over 6,000 ahadith. So each time he will pick a certain hadith from, and remember he knew 300,000 ahadith. So from 300,000 ahadith, when he will say, you know what, this hadith is the most authentic on this topic. So I'm going to write this hadith in my book, Sahih Bukhari. So you know what he will do? He will take shower, right? Put on good clothes, and he will pray Salatul Istikhara. He will need an answer from Allah whether he should include this in his book of hadith or not, each time. And I'm talking about over 6,000 ahadith. Right? So this shows the respect that Sahaba had towards, and these Imams have towards the ahadith of Rasulullah. And here also Abu Sa'id al-Khudri put on his rida, sat down with dignity, and then started narrating the hadith. And well, there are many adab. One of the things that we were taught back home when we were in Darul Nadwa, and I remember that our teacher said, never answer a fatwa or a Islamic question while you are walking. He said, these days people come and they say, Maulana Sahab, ek minute rukiye, please stop. I have a question. You know, like you're walking. I said, no, come to the masjid, come to the office, come to my home, whatever. Because this shows, somebody said, Hafiz Sahab, is this hadith sharif sahih or zaif or whatever? I said, no, do not answer walking. Tell them, come. And if you are serious, only then you will come. Another good example is that, you know, when you see an Imam Sahab or a Sheikh at a gathering, let's say it's the dawah, the dinner or lunch, and you sit in that table where the Imam Sahab is sitting, what do? You start talking about fiqh issues, tafsir issues and this and that. And I hate that. You know why? Because, you know, you just, you saw the Imam Sahab in Urdu, they said, aapki nafs padki. That, you know what, let's stop. Wait, if you are serious, then come to the masjid. Yeah, and sit down and then discuss it. And here, you know, we are sitting, eating and all that and saying, Hafiz Sahab, this, you know, hadith, Quran and fiqh. So, but the Sahaba would always, and the Imams would always respect by putting on good clothes, sitting with dignity, and then. Now, and here, now comes Ammar ibn Yasir. Now, the thing with Ammar ibn Yasir was that he was a very young man, well-built man, and at the time of the construction of Masjid Nabawi, everybody was carrying one brick at a time, because those were big bricks, but he was carrying two. Okay? Look at the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam will remove the dust from his body. Now this tells a lot about Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam's character and akhlaq. That he is removing dust from the body of a sahabi. You know? And then Rasulullah said, may Allah be merciful to Ammar, he will be inviting some people to paradise and they will be inviting him to hellfire. So Ammar said, I seek refuge with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from affliction. Now Rasulullah was told by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala about how Ammar will die. Okay? And you know, it is a very unfortunate incident that happened between Ali and Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. And Ammar died in that battle, Saffan. Okay?
Karbala?
No, Saffan. Karbala happened many years after. But Saffan, there were two big battles that happened between Sahaba. One is called Jamal, another is Saffan. In Jamal, Aisha radiallahu anha was riding a she camel. That's why it's called Jamal. Jamal means a she camel. And the The second was Safan. When Safan means Sahaba were against each other. There was Saf after Saf. And these two were really unfair. But remember that the Sahaba were sincere. Each Sahabi was thinking that he is right. This is why, brothers, the maslak of Jamhur ulama is that we should not criticize Sahaba in these regards, in these matters, right? Each one of them was a mujtahid. Mujtahid means that he had the power and the capability to come to a conclusion. Who is right? Ali is right or Muawiyah is right? Aisha is right or Ali is right? So each one of them did their ijtihad. And then they joined that group that they thought is right. Now they could be wrong. One group was wrong. But the group that was wrong, since they did ijtihad and then they took that step, so you cannot blame them. Leave that to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Okay, this is, brother, it's very important. Because once you criticize a group, let's say you say, oh, Muawiyah, first of all, he accepted Islam very late, and then, he went against Ali. No, he was very wrong. Muawiyah was one of Katib al-Wahi. Very close to Rasulullah. And remember when Rasulullah was alive, once he said that all those people who will go to Turkey, Constantinople, Istanbul, they will go over a boat. Right? This was the first time the Sahaba will use boats to go to another country, because before that they were within their areas. And Rasulullah said all the commander-in-chief will be a person of Jannah. And it was Muawiyah. So although one thing is accepted, that when the battle between Ali and Muawiyah happened, Ali was right, Muawiyah was wrong. Definitely, there's no doubt about it. But Muawiyah was not fighting for his nafs. He was fighting for what he thought is right. Okay? So we should not criticize Sahaba based on that. It's very wrong. Once you open your mouth against Sahaba, you are assuming things. This is a big issue. You are assuming that, that Sahabi Mughira ibn Shu'bah radiallahu anhu said this, he did this. By the way, you are sitting here in 2013 thinking about what had happened, 1400 years ago? And so please do not. And another thing is that, brothers and sisters, Quran have said about Sahaba radiyallahu anhu wa radu anhu. Allah knew that these battles are going to happen in the future, isn't it? Allah knows future. So Allah knew that these battles are going to happen, but still Allah said, no, I am pleased with each Sahabi and each Sahabi is pleased with me. Right? Another place Allah said, وَكُلًّا وَعَدَ اللَّهُ الْحُسْنَى. To each Sahabi I have promised Jannah. But brother, had Allah promised Jannah to you? So if you talk bad about Sahabi, your Aqidah is going to go away. So if your Aqidah on Sahabi becomes weak, your Aqidah on Rasulullah becomes weak. And your Aqidah on Rasulullah becomes weak, your Iman goes. So that's why it's very important that when we learn history, right, we have to understand that these two battles that took place between Sahaba, there were reasons for that, and those reasons were based on ikhlas. So we should not. So here, Rasulullah prophesied that Ammar is going to die in such a way, right? And Rasulullah hinted here that Ammar would be on the right side, right? That's what Rasulullah said. He will be inviting them to paradise. So he would be the right side. And Muawiyah was the wrong on the wrong side. Okay. So Ammar said, I seek refuge with Allah. Allah protect me from such fitna. In fact, ulama have said that we should make this dua, all of us should make this dua very often. And brother, I can tell you, at this time and age when we are living, we should make this dua day and night. And then A'udhu billahi min al-fitan. Fitnas, Jama, fitan. Oh Allah, protect me from all kind of fitna. fitna of mal, fitna of love of this thing or that thing, we need to be. So, this is, okay. Okay, so, now, my dear brothers and sisters, so Imam Bukhari rahimahullah brought this hadith because there is a mention of construction of a masjid. Okay, that's why Imam Bukhari brought this hadith. Okay, so this shows that to build masjid, put a brick in the masjid, or two, or more than that, that is an act of tremendous reward. Tremendous reward. Because here Sahaba themselves they did not hire laborers. You see? They themselves worked as laborers. And as I told you last week, that Rasulullah also worked as a laborer. Okay? So inshallah, when the masjid is built, our masjid will start this construction. We should come and we should help the workers as well. Yeah, we should not just give money, brother. That is important money, but physically to help, it's very good. So, brother, one of the best things that you can build is a masjid, not your house. Because the masjid will stand there forever and the ibadah of Allah will take place. You will be in your grave. But think about this. If you build a $10 million house, or $21 million house, but the thing here is that after your death, right, that house will go to your children. And you know what? If you don't work for something, you'll not value it. So your children will not value the hard work that you went through to build that masjid. So Allah in Surah Maryam said, فَخَلَفَ مِن بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْفٌ أَضَاعُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَاتَّبَعُوا الشَّهَوَاتِ فَسَوْفَ يَلْقَوْنَ غَيًّا. The people who get things very easy, they follow their shahawat. They follow their desire because easy money. But if you build a masjid, if you build a place of worship for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, brothers, you will be in your qabr and you will be rewarded. I went to Ohio and a huge masjid, mashallah, beautiful. I went there and people told me that two brothers got together and they said, we don't want donation from the masjid. They spent $23 million and built the masjid. Two brothers. I said, subhanallah, how much reward will they be getting? So we should, when our expansion work start, we should come and help, inshallah. Okay, the next hadith, brother, is about the mimbar of Rasulullah. Now remember, pulpit or mimbar is that small piece of wood that has 3 steps, right? And it is put inside the mihrab. Mihrab is the place where the Imam stands to lead salah. And usually member is used to deliver khutbah of Jum'ah or Eidain. Okay? Now, what happened was that at the time of Rasulullah ﷺ, there was no member as such in the early days. So, when Rasulullah had to address somebody, Rasulullah will stand on the trunk of a tree. There was a tree that was cut down, so there was a trunk there. So Rasulullah will stand on that trunk and deliver the khutbah. Early days. Then what happened was that this happened. What happened was that Sahal said that Rasulullah, who Sahal is? The narrator? Who is Sahal?
Who built the member?
Who was Sahal? These are two brothers, Sahal and Suhail. Sahal, they were the owners of the land where Masjid Nabi stands today. These children were yatim orphans. So they were the owners of that land. Right? So they gave it but Rasulullah ﷺ bought it, but their intention was to give it as sadaqah. So Sahal narrates that Rasulullah sent someone to a woman telling her to order her slave carpenter to prepare a wooden pulpit for him to sit on. Now another hadith sharif on the same topic is, Jabir says, a woman said, Ya Rasulullah, should I get something constructed for you to sit on? And I have a slave who is a carpenter. He said, yes, if you like. So she had the pulpit constructed. Okay. So there are two ahadith. One says that Rasulullah ﷺ asked a woman that she should order her slave to build a pulpit. Another one says that that woman herself gave the idea. So it could be both, that she gave the idea. Later Rasulullah ﷺ sent a sahabi to remind her that that work should be done. Anyhow, so that member was built, and that was built by this carpenter, and then it was brought and it was placed. So then, since then, Rasulullah would stand on the mimbar, on the pulpit, and then he will give a speech and khutbah. Now, nobody was allowed to stand on the mimbar except for Rasul. When Rasulullah was alive, it was strictly prohibited upon everybody to stand on the mimbar, on the pulpit, on the mimbar. It was only one person got that opportunity, and that was Hassan ibn Thabit, the Shair of Islam. And Rasulullah said to Hassan, sit here on the mimbar and defend Islam against enemies. So he will use his poetry to defend Islam. So now I think you must have heard that famous incident that when the first Juma came, so Rasulullah went on the mimbar, and Rasulullah ﷺ gave the khutbah. As Rasulullah was delivering the khutbah, and of course the masjid was full of Sahaba, that incident happened that Rasulullah heard somebody crying. So Rasulullah noticed that the voice of crying is coming out from that trunk of tree on which Rasulullah used to previously stand and give khutbah. So Rasulullah went and Rasulullah hugged that trunk as if a father will hug his son. So then it stopped. Okay, Rasulullah kind of patted it like that, and then stopped. So this shows that there's life in everything. Okay, and when Rasulullah ﷺ will use something that has to do with tree or stone, that piece of wood or stone would feel honored. Remember, that feeling is different than our feeling, right? But
first Juma khutbah was delivered in the Quba or Masjid al-Nabawi?
Yeah, Quba. The first Juma that Rasulullah ever led was in Quba. In fact, the same day Rasulullah put the foundation stone of Quba. It was Friday. So Rasulullah gave khutbah, then led Juma Salah, then came to Madinah Munawwara. So the first masjid that was built by Rasulullah was in was Masjid Quba. That is why Rasulullah said, when you go, visit Masjid Quba and you get the reward of Umrah. If you go and pray 2 rakahs there in Quba, you get the reward of Umrah. So each time when we go, we should visit. Okay, now so to have a pulpit is sunnah, and to be of wood is better than having of metal or stone. That is another thing. Now the next hadith is narrated by Abdullah ibn al-Khawlani. Said that I heard Uthman ibn Affan, when people argued too much about his intention to reconstruct the Masjid Nabawi, you have talked too much. I heard Rasulullah saying, whoever built a masjid, Allah will build for him a similar place in Jannah. So here, the reason why the people were talking and arguing was that they were saying that, look, Abu Bakr did not do this, Umar did not do this. Why are you embarking upon such a huge expansion project of Masjid Nabawi? At that time it was huge. Now Masjid Nabawi is maybe 1,000 times bigger than what it was. The new one, the new Masjid Nabawi that is coming up can hold 1.2 million people inside. 1.2 million. It's huge masjid. The air-conditioned plant under the roof of Masjid Nabawi is the biggest AC plant ever anywhere in the world. So, mashallah, we have this the beautiful masjid now. Now, when you build a masjid for the sake of Allah, Allah will build for you a place in paradise. Now, this means that either, brothers, you build a masjid completely from scratch using your own money. You do not get money from anybody. But if I will build a masjid because I want my house in Jannah. Or it also means that you participated. Because not everybody has the capability of building a masjid. But you build it. I have a brother I met from Saudi Arabia. He's from Medina. He's an amazing guy. He passed away, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive him. He has a passion of building masjids. Yeah, his son was telling me, he's also very grown. He said, Chef, do you know? He said, I'm just telling you that my dad back in 16 and 17 when he was a student in California from Saudi Arabia, he said that he would come and he will build masjid wherever he can find a land, he will buy a land, build a masjid and then move on. He will give it to the local community and he will try not even visit it, so that he doesn't want people to thank him. He said, I have built it for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said, back in 70s, I think. He said, I was a student in California from Medina. I was studying there. My dad came. And one day we were driving in a very rich neighborhood. And he saw those expensive houses there. And my dad said, you know what? This neighborhood is very expensive. But there is no masjid here. And it was Beverly Hills. And he said, there's no masjid here. So I said, Dad, you know how expensive this area is? He said, no, wallahi, just, Arabic style. Wallahi, inshallah. Let's build it. So what he did was that he bought a land in Beverly Hills. Got all the plans approved. He made a masjid there in 70s. Right? A beautiful masjid there. And the masjid was ready. He had a meeting of the local Muslims. He said, here's the key. Now you guys run and I'm going. He said he never went back to that masjid. He didn't want people to say, oh, mashallah, he's the founder. Please give him an award. He said, no, I don't want it. So he said, my dad built it. Now I went online and to check that Islamic Center is a huge center. They have a school there. It's like a very, very active Islamic center. Okay. So, and then he said, my dad built one in London, one in here and there. Anyway, he was telling me the story. He said that my dad is from Medina. So my dad said, I have built masjid in different parts of the world. Why not in Medina itself? He had that passion. So he said that my dad went to the Qazi, the judge, the mayor of Medina. And he was friends with him. He said, you know what, I want to build a masjid, but I want to build a masjid there because that area is the most populated area. So he said, well, there is only one piece of land left and that belongs to that person. He's building a commercial project there. So he said, but I want that project. He said, no, sorry, you look for some other. He said, unbelievable. He said to me, son said to me, Sheikh, you will not believe that brother who was going to build a commercial project, by chance, I'm saying by chance according to us, but to Allah it was not by chance, it was determined to happen. He came to see the Qadi. And he said, my dad was sitting there. So my dad said, subhanallah, well, he's the owner. So he said, brother, sell that piece of land to me. So he said, no. He was a businessman. I said, no. Why? He said, I want to build a masjid. He said, come on, in Madinah Munawwara we have so many masjids. Why do you want to build another? I said, no, I want to build. So he said, the more masjid, the better. So he said no, and they argued. Please, he said no. My plans are passed and this and that. So finally that person gave in. He said, okay, fine. Will you I'm going to sell that land for this much. He said, yes, I'll bring the money to you tomorrow. He said, my dad paid the money next day and he built a huge masjid there in Madinah Munawwara. So some people are, now imagine how much reward that person must be getting. Getting. Huh? Yeah.
Masjid are there. It's a big mosque, and there are only 4 or 5 prayers.
You're right.
People praying.
Yeah.
So it's a big wastage of
Exactly.
money. Somebody has spent that money in Africa. In the hospital.
I will give that answer to this brother. Jazakumullah khair. If you go and see Masjid Al-Bid, named Abdullah Darwish, this brother built in America 70 masajids. And every masajid he gave $1 million. We want only 600,000 for this brother. We took him to the place. He said, no, house of Allah supposed to be cleaner, well organized, because this is in America, people like it. He gave over $2 million. He never came back to that masjid. In Lebanon now he's building over $15 million worth of Islamic school.
But you asked the wrong person. He's the shura member of Al-Bir.
One person.
That
He wanted to build that one, even though we told this is a waste. He said, no, let's keep it. You know what happened now? The biggest metro train station came up.
that is one thing, but what the brother is asking is different. What he's saying, I know that, but mashallah, through you I came to know that he's a very good brother. But what he's saying is that, isn't it better to build a masjid, right, where it could be populated? So this is what it is that Rasul, I think we read this Hadith Sharif a few days ago after Isha Salat, the Rasulullah said that you should build masjid where people are living. Duar means in neighborhoods, where people are living. If you build masjid in a jungle where people are cannot go, so what happens is that you build a big masjid, but it is kind of not that effective. Yes, maybe 10-20 years down the road people might move around it and then it could become a very thriving masjid, inshallah. That's one. But right now, you should build a masjid where Rasulullah Dua, where neighborhoods are. So people can just get benefits right away. So what that brother did, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward him for that. But technically, yes, a masjid should be built where it is needed the most. That is the whole point. So your masjid Al-Bir is a beautiful masjid. Don't feel bad with and Allah will reward him.
No, I agree with him that not many people.
Yeah. So,
but that is his intention.
Yeah, inshallah, Allah.
In Jama, there are a lot of people. There are a lot of Muslims.
Yeah, but he is.
Jama is
It's a blessing for them.
and a lot of new Muslims are.
MashaAllah.
It's going to get filled up, Sheikh, in 20 years.
Inshallah, it will get filled up. 20 years?
Jama is also take 20 years to get filled up.
You are my Selling our last hadith. Okay. So inshallah, Hajj time, inshallah, it will be filled up very soon, inshallah. Okay, the last hadith before we move on. The last hadith is this made by Amr ibn al-As. Amr ibn al-As says that I heard Jabir ibn Abdullah saying that a man passed through the masjid carrying arrows. Rasulullah said to him, hold them by their head. Meaning, when you are in the masjid, make sure that you do not hurt anybody. And if you have an arrow, just like you are moving, you might hurt somebody. So to hurt anybody, whether inside the masjid or outside the masjid, is wrong. But especially inside the masjid, everybody should feel safe. Okay? And not only through arrow, but the arrow of your tongue. People should feel safe. This is why, brothers, to get angry in the masjid is a big evil. To raise your voice out of anger. Some of us, due to our ignorance, we think that if we shout in the masjid on Islamic related issues, right? I'm doing a big service to Islam. I screamed in the masjid. Why? Because I saw something wrong taking place. So that is jihala. This is ignorance. If you see something wrong taking place, you don't have to scream. You just go and talk to that person in private, or go to the Imam and say that that is not the right thing. But to scream in the masjid, that is an act of such a big sin that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have. And brothers, and please, especially our elderly brothers, some of us who had come in US very late in our life, we don't understand the challenges of being a Muslim in US. What happens is that if you raise your voice in the masjid, and then a youngster sitting there, or a new Muslim sitting there, it might stop him from coming to the masjid again. 10, 12 years ago, in front of me, this incident happened at a masjid. One brother, I had never seen him again in the masjid. Whatever it was Sunday. He brought his small child to the masjid, and we were praying salah, and that child started running in the masjid, like kids do. And there was one particular brother whom Allah has given a very short temper, and his voice is very loud. He was praying salah with me, and I was there in the saf with him. And to be honest, yes, we were getting disturbed by but I was thinking of talking to that brother, the father of that kid, in private, But what was that after Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, this brother went loose. He said, brother, come here. You are the father, come here. Brother, why don't you control your son? I cannot pray in salah. This is the house of Allah. Don't you have? And then the father wanted to say something. No, shut up. Just like that. Have some sense. This is the house of Allah. So this brother took his son, and these are the exact words that he said. He said, you know what? Today was Sunday, my day off, so I thought that let's go to the masjid and pray. And I took my son. He said, Wallahi, this is what I said. Wallahi, I will never come to the masjid again. And I'm going to take my son to a church next Sunday. This is exactly what he said. And I had never seen that person again. And I went after that person because I was shaken up that he's saying, I will never come to the masjid, I will go to the church. I went after him. I said, bro, listen. That person is ignorant who shouted at you. Brother, please don't do this, please. He said, Sheikh, I respect you, but I will not come. He did not listen. He went to the parking lot, got into his car, and left. And I had never seen that brother again. I wish I had his address, I can go. But he was in such a fit of anger that he just left, and he didn't want to, because he felt bad that some brothers shouted at him in front of the whole masjid. People don't understand that sometimes you have to give in. If you have talked to that father in a respectable way in private, right? That brother might have understood that you cannot bring such small children who disturb the masjid environment. But if you shout, you're not doing. But some people think that now shouted at him. that is a big jihala, and we should not be doing it in the masjid. So any issue that we have within the masjid, talk to that person in private. One of my students, he's a hafiz of Quran. He refused to lead in Jama Masjid. Do you know that? He's a very good hafiz. He said, Hafiz, I will never lead. I said, why? Because he led a salah. And I asked him to lead. He was leading. And one brother came and he said, come here. Now, come on, he's a hafiz. Show some respect. Although he's much younger. Come here. Brother, you are a hafiz. Your tajweed is very wrong. Your ha is very weak. Your qaf is very weak. Your sheen is very weak. So before you stand on the mimbar, you should correct your tajweed. Now I didn't know that this person said this. Next time that my student came and said, Afsar, there's a certain uncle, he yelled at me, and brother, that person has the best tajweed. To be that student, I take pride in saying that he has the best tajweed. And this person is saying, he said that I will not lead ever. So in Tarawih Salah, he said, no, Hafizah, whatever you say, I am willing to listen to you, but this, I cannot. So he goes to other masjids to lead. He went to New York to lead. And he went to New York, the people who are like his fan, and they're saying, please come again, I will give you first class ticket, please come. So now he said, no, I have a school to go to, so I will rather lead in Orlando. But so you have to be very delicate when you are talking to these youngsters, especially because if you do something wrong, this might stop somebody from doing something good. So here Rasulullah is saying the same thing. Don't hurt anybody in the money. If you are carrying an arrow, cover it with your hand. Masjid should be a place of peace. You see? It's not that I'm going there, and my dignity and honor is at stake there. Anybody can yell. No, it is wrong. Back home, when we were kids, we'll go to the Masjid. Wallahi, brothers, me as a kid, when we were going to school in those days, I would be scared of some uncles there. Because if I go in pant and shirt or t-shirt, they will yell. If the sleeves were not full, they will say, "Come here, shaitan." And then they say, "Kya pehen kya hai, ja? Koi shirt pehen kya?" And if pant, many of the uncles will say, "Ye Frangiyon ka libas hai, isme namaz nahi hoti." So this means that I think all of you are wearing jeans, or I think your salah. This is craziness. This is crazy. Like I can tell you, one brother, I will not name. He went to Umrah. No, brother, listen to this. This is the height of ignorance, and these are uncles, 70, 75-year-old, saying this. One brother went for Umrah, right? He came back, and one brother in the masjid told him, and later on he called me. He said, "Hafiza, I came back, and one brother in the masjid told me that you have to go and redo Umrah." I said, "Why?" Because you did not do halq, meaning you did not shave your head. He just did qasr. He trimmed it. So when he came to the salah and everybody was hugging him, mashallah, Umrah Mubarak, this uncle said, "Come here." He said, "You should go and do Umrah again." Because you did not do halq, shave your head. So I was not in the masjid, so he called me. He said, "Hafiz, is it true?" I said, "No, who told you?" He said, "No, tell me the name of that uncle." He said, "That person." I said, "Okay, leave it to me now." "No, brother, your Umrah is done."
You should have said, "Give me money, I will go back."
The other day, I called Janaza inside, because 25-year-old boy died. You see, you have to use your, the 25-year-old boy died, the whole family was shaken up. His friends, uncles, everybody was crying if you were there. When the Janaza was done, as Salatul Zuhr, his brother was standing next to me or Dr. Sahab, and I could see him, I could hear him sobbing in Salatul Zuhr. They were 25-year-old young boy who was speeding on a bike on I-4 near 408. He met an accident, died right there. So now, before Salatul Zuhr, 2 or 3 of his brothers and cousins came to me and they said, "Hafiz, they are from Palestine." They said, "Sheikh Tariq, we know that in Jama Masjid to pray Salatul Janaza outside, and we respect that. But can we please bring the Janaza inside, because when our father died, we pray Salatul Janaza inside." I said, "It must be raining or something. There must be a reason for that. But can we just pray outside, because it's just better?" He said, "Sheikh, can you please pray inside?" Now, that circumstances was such that I felt that I cannot say no, because they are so much already, grieved and shaken up. I said, "Okay, don't worry, you can bring it." It's just okay, we prayed Salah. And everybody went, I went. One brother was sitting in the masjid with his kids. The same uncle who said to the person that, your Umrah is not done. That person came and he found that everybody is left. He went to this, he found nobody except for that brother who was sitting with his kids. And he said, "When I die, my Salatul Janaza should take place outside the masjid." So he said, "Okay, uncle, inshallah, so when is the option?" He said, then he said, because Janaza was brought inside, it is wrong. Now he's from India, he have seen this trend out there. Now he did not know the masala. And he said, because it is completely haram for Janaza to come inside. Now he gave his fatwa. So this brother called me over the phone and he said, "Hafiz Sahab, is it wrong to pray Salat Janazah inside? He said, no, it's not wrong, completely. I mean, who said that? He said, that brother said it. I said, no brother, if you look in the ahadith, you see that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam used to pray inside. Brother, you went for Umrah and Hajj, right? Where do the people inside, right? Inside. I said it's only that Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, he accepts those ahadith, right? But he said that, it's fine if you want to pray inside, right? But he said that because in those days people will not have a casket or a bed on which to put janazah. They will put the janazah with the kafan and will put it in the floor. So you pray Salat Janazah, right? And then after that they will lift the body, right? And they will take it to the Qabristan, to the cemetery. So there was a chance of kafan getting najis, meaning because of, maybe some urine will come out or stool will come out. So that will make the masjid najis. So Imam Abu Hanifa recommended. He said that it is better if you pray outside. Now you might not agree with this, I'm not saying that. But Imam Abu Hanifa's view is this. So in those masjids that follow Hanafi fiqh of thought, they say, well, it is better to pray outside, only better, afdal. But if you pray inside, that is fine as well. Now, here in US, since we have that coffin, right? So there's no chance of masjid getting polluted, because the body is inside the wooden box. So there's no problem whatsoever. But because all the other imams say that no, masjid should be held inside the masjid. It's a fiqh issue. But if you are praying inside, it's no big deal. But what I'm saying is that this uncle said this, and he caused a big issue. So I mean, brother, we have to understand. You cannot be doing this in US. In fact, if you're from Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, wherever you are, you cannot do that there either, because our youngsters, very few are coming to the masjid, and when they see yelling and screaming and fighting in the masjid, it will deter them from coming again, and you will be responsible for that. So here this hadith sharif is very important, where Rasulullah said that cover the Arab.